Hey bro, welcome to Foundations, your introduction to hypertrophy, or in other words, how to grow muscle fast. So even though this program is free, it's not for everybody. This program is for people who go to the gym to look good. And that idea is at the core of this weightlifting model. It's also the exact reason why we're going to start with the pecs. If we're going to look at someone's torso as the composition, what we want to develop is balance and contrast. When you're looking at someone, the first point where your eyes are drawn to first is the pec line. For good reason. If they have a bit of mass, there's going to be a shadow. It's a point of contrast. And it sets the ratios for everything around it. It's a pretty integral muscle group. So, we need to nail this off the bat. We need to understand weightlifting as a way to build proportions, not just a way to stack on mass. And if we can get a hook into training what is a notoriously tricky muscle, imagine what this training is going to do for our legs, bro. Our arms, our back, delts, whatever muscle, that's it. Sweet, so that's out the way. We know why we're starting with the chest. So here's just a few ideas on how to approach your training. So hopefully when you're actually doing your exercises, you can get a sense of what we're trying to build here, and you don't just trust me because I've got a big chest, you know? There's a few basic truths about our body that we need to understand and incorporate into our weight training. So our body is always looking for the most efficient way to do things. It's looking for the easiest and the safest way to do things. It's looking to complex multiple muscle groups together, offset tension across your body, because it's trying to keep itself safe. It's pretty fair. When you're moving things around, when you're picking up furniture, chucking a box, your body doesn't care if you're trying to grow big hamstrings. It doesn't give a fuck. If you're trying to isolate tension, your body is at step one. It's in direct opposition to our goal of trying to isolate tension, to damage muscle fibers, to cause a growth response. So we need to understand that we're kind of going against our body's natural reaction to moving weight around in space. So we want to direct tension, because if you don't, your body's going to take over, and you might not be happy with the results in 6 months when you've worked your ass off and you look wonky. So, I was just talking about how people put in all of this work and then look kind of wonky at the end. Classic example, big arms, small chest. They didn't know where to start, bro, because they didn't start at module 1, body weight. Hectic. So, bodyweight training is unique because your body is the resistance. Every single other exercise you're going to do, the weight is external from you. You're going to be working with a machine or a dumbbell, barbell. The weight's away from you. So with the archer push-up, it's our first exercise by the way, we have a really unique chance to feel the contractions in our chest and map out tension and just get an understanding of how a pressing movement should feel. So real quick, I want us to just jump on the floor and just push ourselves off and flex our chest as hard as we can into the floor for 30 seconds. So this isn't the exercise, don't worry. This is just to get an idea of like proprioception, just building feeling in the area and holding on to that tension later in your next exercise. So we've done that, 30 seconds, flexing hard, got a bit of a pump going. So what I want us to do, resting fully on the floor. This is the start. Take 5 seconds, and naturally in those 5 seconds, if you need to move your hands around to get to a comfortable spot, you'll do it. And once we're there, I want us to start by pushing one side of our body slightly off the floor. And I know it's gonna look weird, but what we're doing is we're putting our working side at a disadvantage. So we're slightly elevated, and then I want us to push with the other side all the way up into a completed push-up position. And essentially what we've done with that little tilt is we've loaded all of our body weight onto one side of our chest, all of our upper body weight. And the good thing about this is there is no way around it. If you do 5 reps per side, which is what we're doing, even though you might not have the cleanest form at the start, you can't cheat. It's a bilateral, meaning like one hand at a time, push up. It's pretty much a one-handed push-up with a little bit of stabilization. After you do 3 sets of 5 reps, your chest is going to be fucking burning, bro. And we've done it. We have our first chest pump, bro. Remember this feeling. Go find some stairs and walk down and enjoy that bounce, bro. You earned it. Okay, so we've practiced the flex, done some work in the mid-range. So now it's time for us to move to the next exercise and focus on the stretch position. So alongside with the push-up, the dip is one of the primary pushing movement patterns. You can tell I read a fucking exercise science book. So all of the tension of the push-up is inverted. Instead of being heavy at the top of the exercise, all of the tension is at the bottom. So with that in mind, that's where I want us to pay the most attention. So when we're setting up for the exercise, don't set up from the top, set up from the bottom. That's where it all counts. So when we're down in the bottom position, I should tell us how to set up first. So the equipment's pretty minimal for this. I don't want us to think about using the dip bar. I want us to just start bare bones, bro. Just authentic. It's good old fashioned family style. So get up against the bench. I don't know what I'm doing. Get up against a bench or 2 chairs and just lower yourself to the bottom. Same thing with the push-up. Take a few seconds, see if you need to adjust your grip width. Sorry, my cat's going crazy. For most people, you're gonna end up about shoulder width. And from there, push your torso out so you're facing at a 45-degree angle from whatever you're pushing off. Lower yourself down slowly, pause at the bottom for 1 second, no momentum, no bounce, and give me 12 reps. And that's not just 12 reps, that's 12 chances to find and practice the perfect titty flex, bro. Fuck it. No science words for that. So to round out today's session, we're gonna finish with a classic. Just a standard issue, bro. Push-ups. Don't say don't do anything for you. Gonna give us a nice fucking pump, finish off. So because we're finishing where most people would start, fair enough, bro, you might have some questions. There is one key reason that we're finishing with push-ups. It's the feeling in our chest. So the whole session, we've been practicing contractions, guarding tension, holding tempo, so that when we come to this exercise, there is so much feeling, there's so much blood. This area's been pre-fatigued and primed, so that when we come to this movement, all of the tension is gonna be directed where we want it. I guarantee you, if you started the session and did more reps, more sets, push-ups, and started fresh, it would not be the same. If anything, there's something to be said about performing an exercise that you usually do first, last, and still holding the same amount of reps. Because like, yeah, maybe you're doing less weight, but because you've done more work up until there, like relatively, you know, you're probably doing the same. But you're gaining so much feeling, you're gaining so much like awareness. This should feel like there's an imaginary highlighter fucking running across your chest. And when you come to the push-up with that, it doesn't compare, bro. So this whole session, all the sets, all the reps, all the exercises, we haven't been training weight. We haven't been training a number. We've been training that feeling in our chest and that ability to contract the fibers that we want when we want them. Body weight. Number 1, you did it, let's go. Around. Module 2, free weights. Module 2, Marcel, is much more serious and formal, so get ready. Oh my God, it's all falling apart, bro. Good, still in focus. All right, round. So just play along with me here. I'm gonna talk to us like it's our first day in the gym and tell us the benefits of free weight training. The potential to go in there and overload the movements. So every single week, you can go in there, you can do more reps, more weight, you can add some more intensity, set intensifier, drop set, whatever. There's potential. You just have to go in there and challenge yourself. So to recap, I just said reps, more weight, more intensity. Some people only hear more weight. And it's a trap that I want us to avoid. I want us to resist the temptation to kind of twist progressive overload. Because some people, there's this experimental phase where we're so happy to go in there and drop the number of sets, the number of reps, start doing triples, wearing a belt, this and that, just so we can reach a number that we think is gonna unlock gains? What? I'll put it to you guys like this. Did Ronnie Coleman go in there and just do 1 rep? Who's Mr. Olympia? Is it a powerlifter? Is it the world's strongest man? I'm being kind of crass about it, but we need to keep in mind that challenging ourselves has to be an appropriate challenge. And that sometimes the most appropriate course of action is not to go in and add another kilo to the bar, even if we really want. Sometimes the most appropriate course of action is to increase the volume. Sometimes the most appropriate course of action is to add a drop set, add a back off set, add a superset. Directing all that intensity that you want to put into more weight, maybe challenge that. I'm gonna do that one again. I in fact did not do it again. It was a good take, bro. You get what I meant. So we're gonna start with the first exercise, the bench press. And at this stage, we've practiced our push-ups. We're confident in our ability to contract the chest fibers. So I want us to replicate that feeling of a push-up with a bench press. I think that a lot of people get caught up in the pressing, in the pushing. Like it's in the name, I get it, but this whole exercise is about the setup. So just like the dip, I want us to find the starting position at the bottom. So take the bar, pause it on your chest for 5 seconds, and you'll naturally adjust your grip width to find something comfortable, and you should feel the weight loading into your chest. What else? A couple juicy tips. Biggest mistake that I fixed in my chest training is artificially creating stability in my back. So there's a lot of information on the internet, and one phrase you'll hear with the bench press is pulling your shoulders back and down. It's a very powerful position, I get it. An alternative approach is to use the weight to create stability. If everything's lining up properly, if we're controlling the tempo, if we're managing the tension, you should feel the bar pushing your shoulders back and down into the bench. Very similar to that feeling you get if you're contracting your back, you know? Another important detail is to pause the weight. Again, to check if we have a nice stable position, but more importantly, to take all the momentum out of the exercise. We don't want to bounce, we don't want to rely on our tendons, our joints to move the weight. Pausing on the chest and owning every single rep is a one-way ticket to fucking Arnie status, bro. I want us to do 3 sets of 12 reps with a pause. Control the weight, and it should reflect how big your chest is. If you don't have much meat, you can probably only control a small amount of weight. Makes sense. The bigger you get, the more weight you can control. 3 sets of 12 with a pause. So up until now, we've really been focusing on the pec major, so that middle, lower portion of the chest. But because we're in the gym, now we get a chance to train the incline position for 2 reasons. So number 1, this is a bodybuilding program. We're looking to keep our ratios in check, and who doesn't want to have a nice, developed, round, full upper chest? Second reason, the incline position trains a range that for most people is a huge problem. So let me explain that. If you're walking around day to day, just look up and look at the posture that most people are holding. This kind of cranked neck, tightness in the upper back, rounded of the shoulders, bro, it's fucked. You work at a desk, you sit down, you watch shit on your phone. There's just this hunchback posture that we have to work to counteract. Most people, their way of addressing this problem is to strengthen the back, train your rear delts, train your rhomboids. It makes sense, yes. And open up this position. All that tightness is the perfect range for the incline to open and strengthen. And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use this as a bodybuilding exercise, but also just like a weighted stretch, just a way to open ourselves up. So with that in mind, again, we're gonna pause the weight in the stretch position, but unlike the bench press, I'd rather we don't take it all the way down to our chest. There's this concept in training called active range, which is essentially the range of motion that you can feel that muscle contract. For most people, I think the bar on the chest and having to scoop it up, it's unnecessary. I'd rather us take it to about chin level Some more housekeeping while I'm here. I don't want us to use the installed incline bench. Don't have an issue with the angle of it, I have an issue with the rack height. Having to pull it out above your head and then get set, if you have a working weight, it's disgusting, don't do it. Get an adjustable bench, bring it over to a power rack, Smith machine, use dumbbells, use a machine even. Just don't use that one that fucking comes in the gym. So just like the bench press, slow, controlled tempo, pausing at the end ranges, trying to squeeze as hard as we can. And just like the bench press, we're doing 3 sets of 12. Don't cheat, be clean. This is for your shoulder health. This is for your children's shoulder health. This is we're done with our pressing. We've challenged the mid-range. And now it's time for a little sweet treat, bro. Let's get a pump, a couple pec flies, you earned it. Pec flies are crazy for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's the only exercise that trains your chest in isolation. Let's think about that. What is the function of our chest? To abduct the arm across the body. Just does that. That's exactly what the pec fly is for, bro. Let's use it. Don't fucking cheat. Number 2, the pec fly overloads the shortened position. So that means that it's heaviest at the contraction. Usually that's not too important. If anything, it's kind of bullshit. But at the end of a session, to pump up the damaged muscle fibers with glycogen, nutrient-rich blood, and just push blood into the cells and expand all of the fibers, bro, it's perfect. That's what we want. So how are we going to set up for this movement? Similar to the other exercises where we set up at the bottom, because that was the area of the most tension, pec flies, all the tension is at the contraction. So that's where we're going to set up. Wherever our hands meet at the end range, draw an imaginary line straight back, and that's the area of your chest that it's targeting. So if your hands meet here, lower chest. If they meet in the middle, middle chest, upper chest. So an indication of a successful set is that burning feeling. We're going for volume. I wrote down 3 sets of 15, but to borrow a phrase from my coach Stel, until the bar stops, bro, until it stops moving. That's what we want. Module 3. So if we've done everything right, by this point, bro, we're pretty much professional bodybuilders. So it's time for us to talk about some more professional, advanced concepts, you know? So we already understand that exercises are heaviest at different points in the rep. So with that in mind, we want to focus our attention to the area with the most potential for growth. And that's why this is in the advanced module. It's not because these exercises are risky, dangerous, they're gonna fuck you up. No, it's because you need to approach them with some degree of subtlety, like maturity. There's something that you're looking to get out of these exercises. There's a range of motion, a line of tension. There's something that you're looking to replicate. You're not making things more complicated just because you saw some IFBB guy do it. No. So we're looking to focus on the stretch position, the lengthened range. We want to utilize exercises that have a descending strength curve. Why? Well, look, we know most exercises are heaviest in the mid-range. That's when your muscles can produce the most force, the most torque, they're the most powerful. But we want to focus on the range that your muscles are not used to training. So day to day, you never have to lift weight when your muscles are stretched out. It just doesn't occur. So that's why this area has the most potential for growth, because your body is not used to it. And it's probably the weakest part out of the whole range of your muscle that you can fucking control. Got messy at the end, but it's important. Let's look at the stretch position. We're gonna start this session with an incline fly. And we're familiar with the incline, we know why we like it. It opens up the delts, opens up the chest, but the incline range also changes the resistance profile of some exercises. So think of like an incline bicep curl, doing lateral raises on an incline bench. Most of the time, not always, but most of the time, it makes the exercise heavier in the stretch position. So we take that and we take the cables, and we've got a perfect way to start our session. So having an adjustable bench in between the cable stack, wherever the seat height is, that's where you want to set the cable stack. Now, we're using the cables mainly to test our stability. You'll know straight away if you're not set up evenly, because one side of the stack is going to touch before the other and it won't feel right. And the cables give us a great way to map tension and build some contractions before we get into the rest of the session. So we're opening up our chest and shoulders. We're starting with the cable to be softer, a little bit nicer to our joints before we do our pressing. And we're also building tension in the area that we're going to train next. 3 sets, 15 reps, pause at the stretch. All right, the next exercise, chest dips. And I can hear it now. Somebody's saying, oh, we already did chest dips, bro. That was in the beginner. It was beginner stuff. Shut up, friend. Besides, bro, this is different. Last time we did the dip, it was up against the bench, 2 chairs. And now we've graduated to calisthenics god tier, bro. 2 parallel bars. There's something special about the dip, bro. We already know the benefits of bodyweight training. It's unique. But there's something very special about the stretch position in the dip. It's a descending strength curve and it's a bodyweight movement, meaning all of your body weight is loaded into your chest in that stretch position, perfect for the advanced module. I'm a big fan of 2 things with the bodyweight dip: pushing volume and pausing in the stretch. Volume. If the exercise feels easy, do more reps. If you can do 10, do 12. If you can do 12, 15. Don't go grab a chain and put on a dumbbell and a plate and try to fucking big dick and show everyone how much you can dip. Bro, you gotta respect this exercise. That stretch position is giving you gains, but it can easily fuck you up, bro. So everything in the advanced module, high risk, high reward. Stretch position in a dip is not something you want to be pushing for a set of 5. I don't care what the fuck that bloat lord Mike Israetel says, bro. Fuck him, he looks like Shrek. Pausing in the stretch. So the whole chest training module is about pausing in the stretch, taking all the momentum out of the exercise, loading as much weight into the fibers as we can, and accurately contracting. Carry that over into this exercise. Torso angle as well, we're going to talk about that. So what angle your torso is sitting at is going to influence where the tension goes in the reps. So the more upright you are, more triceps, more delts. What we're looking for is to kick our feet back and angle our torso at about like 45 degrees. And that's the position you want to hold. Sometimes you can have issues fitting into like the bodyweight dip setup. You might have to turn around. Just watch your head clearance, but kick your feet back as much as they can go. Control the tempo, push the rep. So we're going to finish off today's session with a misunderstood exercise, the machine press. Because there's a lot of people out there who have been psyoped by big barbell, old school weightlifting, bro. And whenever they look at machines, they just think it's fucking bullshit. Wrong. See, I think machines are the most appropriate way to push yourself to failure. And let's just think about it for a sec. Stability, bracing, safety, resistance profiles. Machines are so safe, bro. Think about it. It's a locked range of motion. All you have to do is stretch and contract. Whenever you get to those last few kind of dangerous reps, if you want to drop the weight, you're not going to get pinned under anything. Most of the time as well, it's replicating a compound movement in a machine. It's a heavy working weight. You're going to get something out of it. It's not an isolation. And on top of all of this, there's just certain things built into machines that you wouldn't get from free weight training. Chest press. A lot of the time the handles converge at the top. It's going to give you a harder contraction. You couldn't do that with a barbell. So unlike every exercise up until now, I only want us to do 2 working sets. We're going to channel a bit of that inner Dorian Yates, bro. So 1 set to feel it out, warm up a little bit, and then 1 top set to failure. So we're doing 2 sets of 12, but on the working set, whenever the bar stops moving, I want us to jump up, quickly strip the weight by 50%, and then push out a drop set. So just as many reps as you can do until the bar stops moving. So at this point, bro, again, we've spent so much time controlling the tempo, having such strict form that when we loosen things up in that drop set, it's still going to be more targeted than if we fucking did an extra this and that, whatever.